G'day guys, Tony here from Balanced Equine Performance Training Centre. We're just over at the neighbour's place. Emma's doing a chiropractic adjustment on one of their horses, and I noticed a couple of magnets laying around, so I've pilfered them. At my recent clinics, probably in the last year or so, I've been talking a lot about trying to imagine that our tool to encourage movement, flag, rope, whatever you're going to use, is like a magnet. So, and the horse is the other magnet. So we know magnets attract each other, but in certain situations, magnets also repel each other. So here I wanted to give an example of what I mean when I talk about thinking of our pressure as being a magnet and the horse being the other magnet. So if this is our flag and this is our horse, front of the horse, back of the horse, front shoulders, and this is our flag, I want to display exactly what I mean. Now, to yield a horse onto a circle, we want his nose to go around because his mind starts thinking in the direction, and then his body follows like a snake. Well, probably not into you like that, but they end up on the circle because we've asked them to move. So I don't know what the field of vision is like here. The first person I saw do this was Dan Maloney when he came to help me years ago with float loading my horse. And I thought it was magic. The guy could point and the horse would go in the direction. It's really cool. So I've gained a much better understanding of that, not through lack of teaching. Dan's an excellent teacher, but with Warwick Schiller's advice and guidance on breaking things into little parts. So the first part of the cue to yield the shoulders, and what I mean by that is the horse is facing us and we ask it to move out onto a circle. So the first yield is Craig Moore says something I love. I want it to start with a thought, because how can my horse ever operate off a thought if I don't start with a thought? So we want to think about what we're going to do, and then the first gesture is us shifting our weight and then slowly pointing our arm out. It's very important to slowly point your arm out. If you just point, the sensitive horse might feel like you've punched a cue at it. So we want to think Tai Chi, think like your arms are moving through molasses and you're slowly giving them the cue. What it does is it gives the horse time to respond. Now, there's a place for escalating pressure and there's a place for no escalating pressure. And I want you guys to be aware that I'm not saying this is the way to do it. There's a million ways to get things done. But if you're going to use pressure, it's not working if we can't minimize the amount of pressure that we're using. So once your cue's established, you need to use your pressure in a manner that guides the horse to where you want it to be, not makes the horse feel punished for not following the cue, especially while we're teaching the horse. So we want to use our pressure to show it or to motivate it to go into the position that we want that cue to mean. So in this instance, we want the horse to know that every time we point, we use some pressure to guide it to move its shoulders in the direction that we pointed. Now that's what I want to talk about, this pressure being like a magnet, and not a sticky magnet, but a repelling magnet. Sorry, I'm shaking here. I haven't eaten much. I get a bit shaky when I'm hungry. So let's have a look at the magnets again. So this is our horse. This is the shoulder, and in this exercise we'll send it to our left. Now I want you to think of this magnet as the end of your flag or whatever tool you're using to generate movement. And that's what you're doing. It's not punishment. If you think you're going to whack the horse because it didn't move, then I would encourage you to really think about this. And there's people that teach it and teach it well, so and the horses do it, but I do believe the smart horse will be resentful from that sort of behaviour. So next time someone creepy comes close to you and you get the heebie-jeebies, I want you to really think about that and be aware of it. And as you move away from them, be mindful of when that feeling of the heebie-jeebies goes away. Now, then think about it like where your personal space and their personal space kind of start to interact. And what I mean by that, whereas if they were two magnets, the distance you can get to where the magnet starts repelling the other magnet. So that's pressure, right? Of course it's pressure, it's moving the other magnet. So that will be pressure to your horse, and that will be a release of pressure. So I've been playing around with these magnets, and I've found a really excellent way to back up why I talk about moving straight to the shoulder. And I don't mean straight there, I mean in a straight line. If you want your horse to yield its shoulders this way, best to put pressure right on the point of that shoulder. So focus on the point of the shoulder with your eyes, and as you do your cue, so your hand goes out to the side, then you will focus your energy on the point of the shoulder. And then once you get into about the position where you're, say, feeling a little bit too close, and take your time getting there, don't hesitate and go backwards and forwards, but slowly move in. Then start using your tool, and you keep looking at the point of the shoulder, and as you direct your tool towards the point of the shoulder, what's happened? Our horse has yielded and is now going to, if it moves straight, is going to be on the lunge, so to speak. A lot of the time people end up here. They've walked straight past the shoulder, and then the horse is just evading them. Doesn't know what to do. Or, I wonder if this will work, or the horse feels a little bit worried. No, that's not going to work. And it will suck into them and get defensive. There you go. So let's do that. So if you're trying to yield that shoulder here, and you walk too fast, and you don't walk directly towards the shoulder, you walk beside the horse because you've bounced off their energy field effectively, and we're saving ourselves, you can create that, where your horse just leans onto you. And the horse is only being defensive, he's not being naughty. So if you think a nice, slow cue, Tai Chi hands, cue out this way. So the first, think it, then move, and then as your cue moves and your hand moves towards horizontal, you take slack out of the lead rope, which puts feel into the halter, which is the very beginning of teaching your horse to steer. And so the horse goes, okay, there was a thought, there was a suggestion with a cue, then there was a physical thing that sort of guided me, pulled me in that direction, if you will, which is the lead rope, the slack coming out of the lead rope. And then there was an energy that guided me where I needed to be to get a release of pressure. Let's look at it again. So we're going to ask the horse to go this way. We're going to think, slowly raise our arm out to the left, then walk slowly towards the point of the shoulder. Then use our flag or rope on the point of the shoulder, and then back off as soon as the horse gets it. With repetition, the horse soon understands that when we move our hand out this way, you'll see his nose will go out to the side, and then you can reward that and say, yes, you're on the right track, fantastic. But the horse doesn't know that's the right track if we can't guide him with our cues and pressure to a place that will get him a release of pressure and some peace. The way I teach a shoulder yield is to work on getting the nose to go first. Sure, you've got to put the body there a fair bit before they even know where the answer lies. But they get pretty smart at anticipating and cutting out the middleman. You can use your thought and cue, and as you slowly move, you give the horse time to think about what you want. And as soon as that nose goes in that direction, they're thinking over there, and you can reward that and say, yes, that's what I want. I want you to think over there. Then that's not enough though, you've got to build from there. And then you can use your pressure as a guidance to show him, hang on, that's where I need you to be. But you've got to build. Once you can get the nose to move, then you can really slow down and build from there. Now, if we just come in and punch a cue and run at the horse, you know, this is a pretty good display actually. You're repelling that horse away from you. It's an overreaction. So we've got to slow right down and try and just move slowly to get to where we can reach the edge of the effective crossover of our energy paths and guide that horse to where you want it to be. So I know these are only magnets, but if you rush at it, ooh, they overreact, and there's a chance that the horse will end up over here, but only out of fear, and it'll never learn to follow its nose, because it's actually evading you to get over there to where there's no pressure. So I really want to think of any pressure we use as guiding, kind and guiding it to where we need to be. Then, once a horse is on the lunge, it's not going to work, but once a horse is on the lunge, we can guide our pressure out behind the rump, and that will help the horse move forward. I hope that's not confusing. And what I mean is, you might start escalating your pressure, escalating, and then you get a feeling where the horse is sort of going, oh, will I, won't, is it there? And that is where you can stop escalating your pressure, because the horse is going, okay, I'm motivated to do something, I just don't know what. And then if we do aim our pressure very responsibly, we can guide them to where we need them to be. Not punish and chase them. You can see there that if that was a horse, he's already thinking, whoa, I'm out of here, that was too much too soon. Nice and slow, guide that horse to where you need it to be. And then you can do the same if you want to yield the hind end, just get in nice and slow. Now I've found a rope is something the horse will lean into and try and push you away, because they need to defend themselves against a swinging rope. So I really like a flag, because it's something they're less inclined to lean into, and probably because they're more worried about it. But if you use that pressure in a guiding manner rather than a forceful manner, you can really help guide that horse to where the place is where it's going to be left alone. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I've gone off on a few tangents, and I'm not the best at explaining things. But just go slow. Find that point where your pressure is escalated just enough to get a result, and a calm result, not a wachoo. So I'm going to upload this, and then when I get the opportunity, I'll show you what I mean and vocalize what I'm doing and how I feel the energy's moving with a horse and a flag or whatever I'm going to use to motivate the horse to move. Once the horse knows what you want, then you can use your pressure to motivate it a little bit, but don't ever get to chasing your horse, because you don't want your horse to be doing something because he's evading you. You want him to do it because you're guiding. And again, I don't use the term leadership very much anymore because it can be misconstrued, but guidance to me is everything, where you can guide that horse and go with him. Sing out if you have any questions, and keep an eye out for the video where I do this in real life. Peace, guys.